Hello everyone, welcome to Enbreezen, the daily current affairs news analysis by Team Enlight. The topics we shall be discussing today are ghost nets, Li-Fi, air pollution and economic term. So the first topic is ghost nets. So why was this in news? Green Waves Environmental Solutions is a new startup working in Vishakhapatnam which called for ghost gear upcycling along with WWF India for upcycling the fishing nets into bracelets, pouches, doormats and pots. So what are these ghost nets? Ghost net is fishing gear which are lost, voluntarily abandoned or dumped at sea by fishermen, which may include the nets, the lines, the traps, hooks, etc. They inevitably go on to kill the marine life for several years, making it one of the most deadliest form of marine plastic debris. So as over here you can see a turtle caught up in a ghost net. So what are the challenges with ghost nets? So according to the IUCN, around 8 million tons of plastic waste are discarded into the ocean every year, and these account for 80% of the marine debris. So the waters around India have lot of presence of trawl nets, then gill nets and sometimes an entire wall of nets. These all contribute to these ghost nets. So once the marine animals like small crabs and starfish get entangled in these meshes, they die, and hence it is a significant stress on the marine life as well as ecosystem. Also, these nets are made up of non-biodegradable materials like nylon, which go on to stay for 500 to 1000 years in the ocean and hence are enhance the pollution levels further in the ocean. Also, the ghost nests may impact the long-term health of marine ecosystems. For example, if species like sharks, etc., which take around 25 years to gain maturity, get caught up in these nets, it is basically wiping out the juveniles and pushing the species closer to extinction. Important here is also that Vishakhapatnam is one of the important nesting sites for the olive ridley turtles, and they are frequently spotted dead along this coast because of getting entangled in fishing nets. So as you can see, this is the whole cycle of these ghost fishing nets once they are dumped, and how the animals may die, etc. Way forward. So the concept of upcycling fish nets is aimed at reducing the impact of marine pollution and also providing alternative livelihoods for the fisherwomen. So what is done over here is that the clean nets are upcycled. For example, the nylon nets are made into bracelets, etc., whereas hand nets are made into earrings and so on. And the most important part in this process is basically generating awareness amongst the fishermen and rewarding them for not discarding their nets into the ocean, or bringing them to the right place where they could be recycled. Also, moving to biodegradable materials for fishing equipment is another option. So let's move on to the next topic, that is Li-Fi. This was in news because India's highest altitude institute in Ladakh gets its Li-Fi network for faster internet. So Li-Fi, that is light fidelity, was invented by a German physicist, that is Harald Haas, and it is a wireless technology that uses visible light in place of radio waves to transmit data in terabytes per second, and it is much faster than Wi-Fi. So how does it works? Basically, it is a visible light communication system, and there is a photo detector involved which receives the light signal and a signal processing element which converts the data into something which can be transferable or streamable content. So the data is fed into the LED bulb, which is the source, light source, and then it sends data at rapid speeds to the photo detector. So basically what happens is the tiny dims in the LED bulb is then converted by the receiver into the electrical signal, and then this electrical signal is converted back into the binary data, where it recognizes it as web, video, etc., which enables it to be streamed on the devices. So what are the advantages of Li-Fi? So it could make a huge impact on Internet of Things because of the faster speed and also the connectivity to devices. Second is that it is very secure, as we know that it is for shorter distances and it cannot go beyond opaque things as this is light, Hence, it provides very high security as compared to the Wi-Fi. Then next is that it does not spread any pollution. It is a green technology, and it is also very efficient and cheaper, so it is much better than Wi-Fi. And since LED bulbs cost very less, also it consumes less power. So what are the limitations of Wi-Fi? Obviously, the first limitation is that the visible light cannot pass through the opaque objects. So therefore, it makes it very good for security reasons. But then, every time we want to use this internet, there shouldn't be any opaque object, and we need to be in the line of sight of the light. Then it requires light bulbs to be on to provide connectivity even during the daytime. Hence, too much loss of energy. Then it is likely to face interference from external sources of light, for example sunlight or other bulbs, or obstructions in the path of transmission. Hence these are all acting as interruptions in the communication. And also the initial cost of setup is high, so one has to bear the initial cost of setup. The next topic for today is air pollution. And why was this in news? Because WHO on Wednesday released stringent air quality guidelines, which lowering the recommended levels of pollutants that can be considered safe for human health. So what they pointed out is that PM 2.5 concentration of 25 microgram per cubic meter in a 24-hour period was previously considered safe, but now only 15 microgram below that is considered safe. So what is the result of this? Almost entire India can now be coming under polluted guidelines. So they recommended levels of six most common air pollutants. So these are PM 2.5, PM10, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide. And so all of their levels have been now put downwards from the previous norms which were given place in 2005. So over here, what are the sources of air pollution? So we all are very familiar with this, that is burning of fossil fuels, vehicular emissions for driving in power plants, industry, cooking food, etc. Then other man-made factors like construction dust, garbage burning, stubble burning, etc. They all release pollutants like black carbon, nitrates, sulfates, ammonia, mineral dust, etc. into the environment. Then some natural causes can also be there, for example volcanoes or dust storms, etc. And what are the effects on the human body of this? So first of all, if we inhale polluted air, we will have certain kinds of respiratory issues as well as irritation in eyes, and it will lead to hypertension and other related health issues. Plus because of increasing pollution, there has been an increase in temperature because carbon dioxide is being released in the environment. Hence global warming, climate change, all those things are happening. Then acid rain is another thing which happens, and it leads to decay of plants, etc. Also spread of certain types of fungus, etc. Then stress levels rise, then vector borne diseases may become common, and so on and so forth. So what are the way forward? So first one is given by WHO itself, that is 4 pillar strategy, that is expanding the knowledge base, monitoring and reporting, global leadership and coordination, institutional capacity and strengthening. So proactive measures, for example interventions like pollution monitoring apps, where one could check at what point of the day the pollution would be high and try not to get out of the house at that point of time. Then another example is graded response action plan in National Capital Territory. Then innovative measures, for example Delhi government brought up something called Pusa decomposer in order to prevent stubble burning. Then responsibility of citizens and the government. So serious political will and people's participation is very important in order to fight air pollution. So people must stand up for their right to healthy and sustainable environments and question the government, or make them accountable for all the different rules, actions, or new constructions which are taking place. Then polluter pay principle is very important, and an environment tax for on all those industries which are generating any sort of pollution is important, so that whenever development is happening, it is actually sustainable and it goes along with the environmental goals. So here are a few government initiatives to combat air pollution. For example, the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, introduction of clean gaseous fuels like CNG, etc., National Air Quality Index, then moving from BS4 to BS6 standards directly, banning of burning biomass, promotion of public transport networks, then prohibition on burning crackers, and so on. So the next we'll be discussing the economic term, and that is Operation Twist. And there was an article in the newspaper regarding how RBI is trying to bring down the liquidity, and there this term was used, that is Operation Twist. This is important to understand. So basically, it means when the central bank uses the proceeds from the sale of short-term securities to buy long-term government debt papers, leading to easing of interest rates on long-term papers. So it was first done in 1961 in order to strengthen the US dollar and stimulate the cash flow into the economy. So it was first done in the US, that is by the US Federal Bank. So the RBI will conduct simultaneous purchase and sale of government securities under open market operations for around 10,000 crore each. So what it will do is it will purchase long-term maturities, that is government bonds maturing in 2029, and simultaneously sell the short duration ones which are going to be maturing in 2020. So benefits, so basically the simultaneous purchase and sale will bring down the interest rate on long term ones and will lead to an increase in the economic spending. So OMOs are primarily done to maintain ample liquidity in the system, which reflects that the RBI is keen that banks should transmit lower rates to the borrowers. And the Operation Twist by RBI is encouraging for the markets, and it may be seen as a driving factor for long term economic activity and addition of new investment stock. So thank you for listening and have a great day ahead.